pretty sure we know who the father here is, and it's not gonna be Cecile's disembodied dad. Part of me wants to say I'm looking forward to that fight, especially since Bahamut was reasonably major back in the original Final Fantasy. He was how we upgraded all of our classes. The other is just looking at the sheer amount of damage we're taking trying to reach him, and figures there's no way we're gonna make it to him in this clip. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to pull out of this dungeon and try again later. This is just obscenely draining to go through, considering the quality of enemies we're running into. Hell, I'm not even entirely sure we can recently take on this behemoth after the previous one we clashed against. These things just hit way too hard, and remember, we've bought the absolute best equipment there is available, even in the most hard-to-reach stores of the game. There's no way our gear can get much better than this, at least not without checking whatever dungeons are left in the game, which probably have enemies about as difficult to deal with as this thing. It is just downright insane how much health that thing can shave off of Cecile in a single strike. There has to be some explanation for why Cecile and Edge take so much damage per hit, but the mages in the backline take so much less. It's gotta be more than just the fact that they're in different lines here. Cecile has more armor than anyone else, but he's taking damage numbers that imply he's essentially naked against this thing. Yet when Rydia, who is essentially wearing a friggin' bikini, gets hit, it's less than 1,000? What the hell? I'd also like to know why the counterattacks don't even aim for the one who struck the bastard to prompt the counter. It's just countering a random person. Okay, that hit was several hundred less damage, despite the fact it was to the same guy who was hit before. Sure, it was still enough to take Edge out of the fight, but still, the damage numbers we've been seeing here have just felt annoyingly inconsistent to me. And we can't predict where the enemy's next strike will go, which makes planning things out even tougher. And just why is it that none of the high potions thrown at Edge have gone up to 500 health healed? I'm pretty sure that's how much we'd be healed if I did it from the menu screen instead of the battlefield. Ugh. I should not feel the need to ask these kinds of questions 43 clips into the game. Dear God, Edge has been just taking an absolute beating. I mean, it's kind of understandable. He's the least likable character on our team, but it's still annoying. Not that he's had too many chances to prove he's an annoying bastard considering this story. As a side note, the constant health regeneration from prayer just feels way too small, especially this far into the game. Hell, we're at the point where anything less than 100 health is essentially nothing, even for our most fragile team members. So why the hell are we only getting 10 for... Anyway, that's another behemoth destroyed, and I just do not like our chances if we go even deeper into the dungeon as we are now. Anyway, of course we end up in another random encounter on our way back to the ship, and while none of these bastards are as strong as a behemoth, that's still a worrying number to deal with after the sheer amount of crap we've already had to fight against here. And of course Rosa managed to get poisoned in this fight, because I just am having a crappy run of luck at the moment. Don't tell me Edge is gonna be taken down again. We have had far too many people go down in a single recording session here. Granted, we can keep getting them back on their feet so it's not like they're outright casualties, but it's still such a pain in the ass to deal with. I just want to go to a town, get some rest, and buy a shitload of healing items. We've done that sort of thing plenty of times over the course of this game, and I'm sure we'll keep doing so as we keep pushing onwards in this story. Nice to see those sort of damage numbers coming from Rydia. I also really liked the animation for that ice spell. Really quite nice. And we've officially left the moon. It's certainly no surprise that the enemies up there are brutal. It still feels annoying that I feel underleveled considering how powerful our team is, though. Right. Of course the villain managed to finish his work in the Tower of Babel just as we get back to the planet. Please don't tell me we're gonna have to dive right into that dungeon in our current condition. Please tell me we're gonna have the time to heal up and grab some supplies before then. Lovely. We need to deal with a kaiju. I don't suppose there's another massive robot we can use to punch that thing out, is there? Maybe somewhere in the underground, or maybe back on the moon? Because the situation here is so bad that it made my emulator hiccup for a bit there. Don't worry. It looks like he only blasted a bunch of empty ground. Nobody was hurt by those lasers. What's causing those explosions? Ah, apparently the Perrin Air Fleet has finally shown up on our side. We also got some tank support from the dwarves. Holy shit, I was not expecting us to get reinforcements like that. I was under the impression the writers had forgotten about both armies since we were done with those kingdoms. Nice to see you back on your feet there, Yang. Wish I could give you and the Dwarf King a rating of some kind for how well you're leading the troops. Unfortunately, we don't get to see these kinds of battles with that kind of detail around here. I'm sure it's quite impressive, though. Ah, and the mages of Mysidia are also in on this action. Nice to see, and oh dear God, do I wish I could find it in me to give a damn that the twins are back in action. Yeah, everyone is here. I'm sure the ghosts of Della and Anna are cheering us on as well. The only person we're really missing at the moment is Kane, and I can't help feeling like this is a bit too epic considering there's still a number of hours to go until the end of the game. Seriously, is anyone else getting endgame vibes from this situation? Son of a bitch, we really are going to enter the damn thing despite the fact that our team is absolutely mangled and our inventory pretty drained. Granted, it's my fault we're in this condition. We didn't have to try to fight our way into Bahamut's chamber before leaving the moon. Still, can you blame me? It's not like the game warned us that things would go this badly the instant we returned from orbit. I probably should have guessed after some of the previous events of the game, but ugh. kinda disappointed we didn't get a cutscene showing our airship flying right into the beast with explosions going on around us. We just had a black screen, saw Cecile spinning in place, and now we're in. Excuse me for wishing there was something more to us, actually getting inside, at least visually. Hell, the first few floors of this place don't even bother to give us any kind of maze to find our way through. I suppose the third floor is a bit more interesting, though. Though after the sheer beating we took back on the moon, maybe I shouldn't want things to be interesting for us. Interesting could very easily end up meaning dangerous. And again, I'm very much unprepared for what we're going through, because I thought we'd be given a chance to go to town before the next bit of plot happened. Ah well, if we survived the first time I made that mistake earlier in this game, we should be able to survive it this time as well. I just need to work up the nerve to keep on moving. And of course I think to try to start running away the instant we see anything pop up in here. Well, at least that metal centaur was easy enough to take down. That's mildly encouraging, as is the fact that Cecile didn't take over 1,000 damage there. I'm pretty sure that trying to handle 3 different bonus dungeons has thrown off my sense of just how strong we're supposed to be at this stage of the story. Not that things look like they're gonna be nice and easy for us in here, just that the gray cyborg thing is probably a lot less dangerous to deal with than the red ones. And we took those on without all that much trouble. Well, at least I think it wasn't much trouble compared to the frickin' behemoth. I'm sorry, how the hell does electromagnetism cause someone to turn to stone? Really? We don't have anything that specifically cures someone who's been inflicted by stone in our bag. Son of a bitch. Not taking as much damage as we were on the moon, but with how worn down we are, it's still pretty worrying. At least that's not a status effect that sticks with you after battle. We can use as much mercy as we can find out here at this point. Part of me can't help feeling worried that we're using so many ethers before we manage to make it to the actual final dungeon of the game. But frankly, we need this stuff right now. Desperate times call for desperate measures and all that. They certainly aren't going to do any good if we never use them at all, and keep hoarding them for a just-in-case situation that never shows up. God damn it. I know our luck could be worse, but my morale is pretty damn low this far in. The less we have to deal with outright bullshit, the better. Wait, Siren? The hell? For a moment there, I thought it meant that we gained a summon that goes by the name of Siren. I don't think she was actually thought up this early in the series, though. Apparently Siren here just means calling in more hostiles. And I have no real clue why I decided to use that item that's supposed to increase the encounter rate down here. considering how beaten down we are. Okay, lightning did surprisingly little to this set of robotic enemies. Wait, the enemy is trying to kill their own beam cannon? And just why was one of them so much more fragile than the other when they both have the same name on the... bloody hell, is there even actually a point in me questioning that sort of thing this far into the game? Well, that certainly went well, even if I'm not entirely convinced that spending MP on Thunder spells is worth it for some reason around here. I swear, it's almost like the game is trying to tell me don't bother trying to beat the various enemies with spells that at a glance might be the enemy's weaknesses. Possibly because the enemies this far into the game are so powerful they don't have to follow the same rules as the enemies from the beginning of it. That's another large robot thing destroyed. I wonder if there are even smaller robots inside of them, considering they're inside an absolutely massive machine themselves. Considering some of the crap we've had to deal with just to get this far into the game, I would not be surprised if it turned out that we're inside an oversized Russian doll. Sorry, but I much prefer to get the first strike on our enemies. It always feels a bit awkward when they manage to ambush us, since the game doesn't really give you any slack when that sort of thing happens. Again, while this game isn't quite as brutal to the player as something like out of the Shin Megami Tensei series, it's hard to ignore that in many ways it feels like it was more brutally designed than many of the other Final Fantasy titles, both before and after it. At least it feels that way on a clip-by-clip basis. I can't really say how difficult it is overall, since, of course, we have not made it to the final boss yet. Hell, I would not be surprised if it took us a while longer to get to the final dungeon, considering I want to deal with Bahamut before we make our final push towards the credits. For some reason, I thought that beam would also damage Rydia there. It's not like any of the other attacks in this game would go in a line like that. I'm pretty sure we'd have to wait for the games to reach the 3D era before they start to pull that sort of thing, if they ever do. Ah well, let's keep things rolling. Sooner or later, we are going to be finished with this game. I've got a few ideas what game to get into once I'm done with this one as something between Final Fantasy entries, because while the Final Fantasy series tends to stay pretty distinct from one another, I still don't like the idea of going straight from one directly to the next on my list. That just sounds like a good way to burn myself out on this franchise. Part of me wants to say that we're getting dangerously low on regular potions. The other remembers that regular potions heal the least amount of damage compared to all our other healing options. Running out of them would be more of an inconvenience than an actual oh shit situation. Probably not much point in increasing Cecile's health considering how much he already has in comparison to everyone else. Still, by most measurements, he is the primary protagonist of this story. He's almost contractually obligated to be one of, if not the most capable person on our team. Or at least that's how it generally feels in a lot of stories. Seriously, how many times do you generally see the protagonist being in many ways more impressive than the rest of his companions in various tales, regardless of the genre or media? Definitely took more damage there than I probably should have. Certainly don't like to see just how few high potions we have left now. Hopefully we'll be done inside this massive robot soon, or at the very least we'll reach a save point where we can use a tent to replenish some of that health and MP. I swear, Edge has just spent far too much time laying down at the moment. Really makes it rather annoying since he's one of the hardest hitting people on our team. Unfortunately, it's not like we have any way to prevent him from taking those hits. At least not outside of the usual bit of Rosa healing him whenever she can. As a side note, is it just me or do the Clockwork Soldiers look like something the Principality of Zeon might have built? I know, it's not like Gundam has a monopoly on robots with a single glowing red-eye camera. Still, it's hard to deny that that look is a bit iconic at this point. I kind of wish I could like the robotic centaur more, though. There's certainly nothing bad about the design. It just doesn't make me go, oh shit, or wow, like some of the other designs here. Understandable, the centaur is treated more like a disposable mook than a major league threat, even if it does pretty damn hard. Dear God, we're almost out of high potions. We really need a stopping point soon. There's only so much more of this we can take. It's practically instinctual for me to start running if we start the fight with our backs to the enemy by now. At least we don't have to switch rows on top of that for this fight. Again, I get the feeling that the cannons have different amounts of health even if there's nothing to actually indicate one is any different from the other. Is my mind just playing tricks on me? It has been a while here, hasn't it? And once again, there's only the centaur left. Despite how worn down we were when we first got here, we're holding our own pretty well. I wouldn't say the whole bit of me using that item's explicitly meant to increase the random encounter rate was a good idea, but it's certainly not screwing us over beyond the point we can handle it. And every level up we gain as we push forward is appreciated. Right. We're going through the exact same random encounter again. We're certainly used to that sort of thing happening. Still, it kind of makes it hard to feel like we're making all that much progress when we're fighting the same crew over and over again. Really easy for my brain to just shift into autopilot as we deal with it. Huh. Why did the cannon shoot their own centaur? That wasn't even the general direction the gun was pointed in. Not that it was all that helpful for us, I just found it confusing. Equally confusing is that Rose's healing spell seems to have more power behind it when she's healing Cecile than when she's healing Edge. It is the exact same spell from the exact same person. Does it have something to do with their magical resistance or something? Maybe their maximum health? Again, this is not the sort of question I should be asking this many clips into the game. It should be damn clear how things work this far in. Right, yet another pair of cannons supporting a centaur. How many more times are we gonna have to deal with these things before we're done with this Iron Giant? We're running out of room in this clip for me to keep on pushing forward. Please tell me we're gonna find a save point before I cut things off at the very least. I don't want to end things rather abruptly again. And again, the cannon shoots its own ally. Did the lightning we fired have something to do with that misfire? Or was that just a bit of a coincidence? It's not like the game is making it all that clear. And again, it's not like the cannons shooting at the centaur are doing all that much damage for this late in the game. It's just one of those odd things that makes me feel like an idiot, considering we're this far into the game, and it feels like some things just are absolutely baffling to me. Our lowest level character is level 43. We are 43 clips into the game. While I'm not the kind of person to memorize stats or go into a full-on analysis of how things work in any game, this is the sort of thing that should absolutely give the impression that you know what you're doing, and I don't feel that way here. When I see Optic Blaster as a name, the first thing I think of is Cyclops from the X-Men. I should probably be very concerned that it's specifically targeting Rosa. And our primary medic has been turned to stone. Bloody hell, this has just been a long clip. Ah, well, it doesn't have much time left in it, and thank God I don't do any clips longer than half an hour. That would just drive me completely insane. Oh, thank God, a save point. Not that it's as great as being able to outright resupply, but I'll most certainly take it. It's been 47 minutes since my last save, and I was starting to get paranoid that I'd have to go through all of that all over again. Though I suppose I would have been better off if I decided not to try to go through Bahamut's cave and fail to reach him after all that time and effort. Or possibly use a tent on our way back to our ship, but